Mr. Saldin, thank you for joining us. Item number 1, I will go ahead and add you to the meeting at this time. You should get a request in about 30 seconds to join us as a panelist, and that's for item number 1. Item number 6, there will be a request to continue the item to Friday, September 24th, 2021. Item number 7, I believe I have most of the panelists here, with the exception of the Bureau of Street Services. For BOE, I have Greg Vandergriff. For BCA, I have Ian Monte. For Street Services, Stephanie Clemens and Melinda Chu. Do not see neither, or Melinda just joined us. Melinda, thank you for joining us. I will send you a request to join us as a panelist for item number 7, perfect timing. You should get that in about 5 seconds. For BSL, I have Evie Pena, and for sanitation, Mr. Patterson, John Patterson. Thank you all for joining us. I believe all bureaus are represented for item number 7. Mr. Monte, is Linda McGlinchey joining us today that you're aware of?
I'm not sure. She may.
Okay. If I see her log in, I will join her as a panelist as well. I had her on my radar, or someone to look for, but I don't see her as of right now. All right, thank you.
No problem.
For the Bureau representatives that are joining us, for BCA, Linda McGlinchey, do not see her just yet. Oh, I just saw her. Linda, this is Fernando. If you can hear me, you're permitted to speak at this time. If you can unmute your microphone. Do you need to join the meeting for item number 7?
No, I'm actually BCA's Bureau rep today.
Okay, perfect. If you do need to join us, just raise your hand by pressing *9, or you can just raise your hand if you hover towards the bottom half of your screen.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. For street lighting, Mr. Saragumba, Richard, thank you for joining us. BOE, Michael Petone, and sanitation, Hai Sang Kim, you are all in the attendees list. If any of the board members has any questions for the representatives, I will join you to the meeting at this time. You can continue to watch us through the webinar style format as an attendee at this time. Having visitors online at this time, we are going to go ahead and identify anyone from the general public that are joining the Board of Public Works for today, Friday, September 17, 2001. If you'd like to provide any public comments or any commentary on any of the items for today's agenda, if you can please press *9 to raise your hand. Again, if you are a member of the general public and would like to speak under general public comment or provide any commentary on any of the items for today's agenda, if you can please press *9 if you're calling in through your landline device. If you're joining us today through the Zoom application, you should see an icon towards the lower right-hand side of your screen to raise your hand. You can press that icon to raise your hand. Again, if you are joining us through Zoom, you can press raise hand at this time if you would like to make any comments or provide any public comments for the Board of Public Works. At this time, we have 2 members from the general public that have raised their hand. At this time, we're just going to identify who you are before we get started. We should get started with the board meeting around 10:10 this morning. We're going to go ahead and start with the first caller on the line, caller ending in 631, caller ending in 631. If you can please press *6 to unmute yourself. Please state your name and which item you'd like to speak on.
Yes, hi, this is Joanne D'Antonio with General Public Comment.
Great. Thank you, Joanne, for joining us. I will go ahead and put you in for general public comment.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. And we should get started in about 5 minutes.
Okay, thanks.
We'll move on to the next caller on the line, Lipman, Lipmen. If you can unmute your microphone, please state your name and which item you'd like to speak on. I'm sorry, please go ahead.
Yes, my name is Eli Lipman. I'm president of the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners, and I'd like to speak in general public comment.
Sure. And Mr. Lippman, are you here representing the neighborhood council, one of the neighborhood councils, or
No.
or just by yourself? Okay, I will go ahead and add you into the public comment. I have one caller before you, and we should get started in about 5 minutes by 10:10.
And what's the allowable time for general public comment?
2 minutes.
Okay. Thank you.
Perfect. And thank you for joining us. And we have one last person that has raised their hand. Silva Blackstone. Silva Blackstone, if you can unmute your microphone, please state your name and which item you'd like to speak on.
Yes, Silver Blackstone. I'm sorry, I'm getting feedback here.
We can hear you perfect. Thank you.
Okay, great. I think it's item number 3, which was, I believe, continued.
There will be a request to the board to continue the item.
Okay.
However, if the item is continued, would you like to speak under general public comment instead?
Yes.
Okay. I will go ahead and put you in for public comment, and you will have 2 minutes to speak under general public comment.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And thank you for joining us. And Silva, we should get started in about 4 minutes.
Okay, great.
At this time, let's go ahead and test audio and visual for our commissioners. We are getting ready to get started in the next 3 minutes. President Good, are you on the line? Do not see President Good yet. Vice President Garcia, I am going to rename you on my end. If you'd like to test your video and your audio for us. Vice President Garcia. Okay. Good morning, Commissioner Villegas. I see you, and we tested your audio earlier this morning. And Commissioner Caloza. Can we test your audio and your visual and your video? Commissioner Caloza, if you can hear me, if you can test your audio and video.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. Audio is good, thank you. And Dr. Davis, I believe we connected earlier and we can confirm your audio.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
And Commissioner Garcia, thank you. Morning. And all we're waiting for is President Good. President Good, are you on the line? We'll just wait a few more minutes for our president to join us and we should get started. Ms. Clements, you should receive a request to join us as a panelist for item number 7. Thank you for joining us. And you should get that in the next 5 seconds. Mr. Jordan, thank you for joining us as well. We're just waiting for our president to arrive and we should get started.
Thank you. Sorry I was a minute late here. More than a minute.
No worries. And I will keep an eye out for Ms. Hopenstan when she joins us. And I see visual of our president, and we'll just give him a few seconds. And we should get started in the next minute or so. Thank you, everyone, for your patience.
Hello. Sorry about that.
All right.
No worries, President. We will go ahead and get started. We were just waiting for you, and we'll start the recording in about 30 seconds. And Commissioner Garcia, if you can turn on your video cam. Vice President Garcia, if you can hear us, if you can turn on your video cam for us, please. Thank you. Great, Mr. President, I will go ahead and start the recording. Mr. President, you are now in record mode.
Excellent. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Los Angeles City Board of Public Works. It is Friday, thank goodness, September 17th, 2021. Good morning, colleagues.
Good morning. Good morning.
And good morning, Dr. Campos. Do we have quorum?
Good morning, Mr. President. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, establishing quorum and roll call for today. We have President Good, Vice President Garcia, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioners Caloza and Villegas. President Good, you do have a quorum at this time. Currently, we do have 3 members of the general public that are in the queue for general public comment. We do not have any commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section, and no comments on any of the items for today's regular agenda, items 1 through 7. In addition to that, Mr. President, there's been a request to continue item number 3 and also item number 6 to Friday, September 24th. Item number 3 for a date to be established either by your board or to be continued to a date to be determined.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Campos. Unless there are objections, I will certainly grant we'll continue item 3 for a date to be determined. And item 6, what was the date that was requested for item 6, Dr. Campos?
It would be Friday, September 24th, 2001 for next Friday. Our city forest officer will present an item that day, and we are respectfully asking for the continuation for 1 week so that we can synchronize that report and her quarterly report on the same day.
Got it. That makes sense, and I'm good with that as well. So unless there are any objections from my colleagues, we'll continue item 3 to a date to be determined and 6 to September 24th.
Good.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Dr. Campos. Why don't we go ahead and have general public comment?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. President. We just had a 4th caller raise their hand under general public comment, so we'll go ahead and start those calls first. First caller on the line is caller ending in 631. Caller ending in 631, if you can please press *6 at this time to unmute your microphone. You will have 2 minutes to speak under general public comment. Please go ahead.
Hi, this is Joanne D'Antonio from CFAC. Times change and ordinances can get outdated. In this era of road diets and efforts to discourage car use in favor of walkability, we have on the books an ordinance from the 1950s that requires developers to widen the adjacent street for vehicles, often at the expense of trees that shade pedestrians. Once the trees are removed and new ones planted, walkers at the site will have to wait 15 to 20 years to get some shade, but there will be more room for their car and only in front of one structure. Why should a developer have to wait until a hearing held, very often well after the project is erected, to find out if urban forestry is willing to recommend denial of tree removals and waiver of the widening requirement? Often, a member of the community or CFAC member has to challenge the tree removal to motivate the denial. A while back, members of CFAC had concerns about tree removal requests for required street widening and invited an appropriate representative of BOE to our monthly meeting. He basically said the ordinance is there and they follow it. End of discussion. This puts us in a position to waste everyone's time challenging on a case-by-case basis. Can you help us get City Council to pass a motion to waive this outdated street widening requirement, which is not in line with the city's goals, inconveniences property owners, and left on the books could potentially cost us valuable shade trees unless someone takes the time to challenge or urban forestry notices the folly of the request? You, as our Public Works Commissioners, look after our infrastructure that includes our trees, and your effort with City Council to change the rules would bring a nearly 70-year-old ordinance in line with 21st century approaches and also be another contribution to combating heat island effect in our increasingly hot city. CFAC members will also make the request of our council members and look forward to your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. D'Antonio.
Thank you. We will go on and move on to the next caller. Eli, if you can please unmute your microphone, please state your name, and you have 2 minutes to speak under general public comment.
Good morning, President Good and fellow commissioners. I am president of the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners, overseeing all the 99 neighborhood councils. But I'm speaking in an individual capacity today. Nice mug, Commissioner Good. I'm calling. I thought I had a conversation earlier this week with the folks from ITA, and they had mentioned that something might be on the agenda from Streetlights Bureau regarding standing up Wi-Fi at various streetlights. And so I didn't see it on the agenda, but I thought I'd come and speak anyways. The neighborhood council system is looking and identifying opportunities to continue to meet virtually, but again, potentially in person. And this would allow more access, particularly in communities that don't have internet access, to a public opportunity to engage in a public meeting, but also to access internet services. And so, we're just, I've been speaking with various departments and wanted to bring this up with your commission about potentially partnering with neighborhood councils. There's going to be a lot of money coming in from the federal government for broadband access, particularly in communities that lack access. And I know that there's been some discussions around standing that up with our street lighting because they obviously have power. And so, if there's an opportunity to kind of partner with the neighborhood council system, provide this throughout the city as a public good, and leverage sort of the networks that neighborhood councils have and their sort of reach throughout all parts of the city, as well as use it as an opportunity to stand up, public meetings with the neighborhood council system. We'd really look to partner on grant applications to the federal government, to the state government, or wherever, to kind of be able to pilot that out in some neighborhoods or dozens of neighborhoods. And so, just wanted to put that out there.
2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. You know how to contact me, and look forward to partnering with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lippman, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Parenthetical President Lippman. It's good to hear from you, and thank you very much. And good to not see you, but we got to hear you. It's good to hear from you, man. All right.
Mr. President, we have 2 more callers on the line. We'll move on to the next caller, Silva Blackstone. Silva Blackstone, if you can please unmute your microphone. You have 2 minutes to speak under general public comment.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. I'm Silva Blackstone. Let me unmute some, get rid of something so I don't get the feedback. Okay, am I good with no feedback?
Yes.
Great. Okay, I was going to speak on the item which was tree removal, and I noticed that I'm so sorry, I took notes, that the replacement of the trees that are going to be removed is exempt from the actual tree replacement requirement. Instead, they can pay a guarantee fee to satisfy the board's tree requirement. And my question is, where does the money go from the fee? Is there a special fund that anybody could access and find out how much money is in the fund? And how do we know that trees are actually planted as a result of the money going into the tree fund, if there is such a fund? And so, say they get a pass, no trees get planted, no trees are, there's no record of trees being planted from those actual dollars from that project. So I would like to raise a flag about this issue. If there's money to be had for tree planting, it should be used expeditiously and not have someone have to file a request for information or
2 minutes, please wrap.
an appeal. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Blackstone.
Thank you.
We will go ahead and move on to the last caller on the line, Aaron Bellastone.
Thank you. Good morning, President Good and Commissioners. My name is Aaron Bellastone. I'm actually representative for the agenda item number 3, which has been continued, but I'd be remiss not to take an opportunity to address the Commission during public comment. I think that we need to really take a look, and I strongly request that you guys look at this whole tree removal business and the process that is required to go through, which is incredibly onerous and time consuming with very little benefit. The Urban Forestry Department has an opportunity to sit in on subdivision hearings and work in concert with the Bureau of Engineering in determining whether street widening or the saving of trees is a more important priority at a particular site. Instead, they wait until months and years later to determine whether or not the mandated street widening that then goes through a very expensive process of engineering and plan check and wasting everybody's time, only to undo it at the very end by then stating, no, actually we want to save the trees. So what is the priority? And what is the Commission's responsibility in resolving the discord between those items? And why must it wait until so late in the game? If trees can be saved, developers are very happy to save the trees. It provides greenery that everybody in the community, especially new people moving in to a building, will enjoy. So if it's going to be trees saved, let's discuss that a year and a half ago. If it's going to be street widening is more important and takes priority, then let's have that discussion a year ago. I do not understand the need to continue this case again and again. This is the second time it's been continued. When we just need an answer and we need certainty from the development community, or from the government, so that the development community knows how to proceed. Are we saving the trees? Are we widening the road? Not having a decision prevents the housing from getting to the marketplace. There's extremely low income units here that need to get out to the market. Can you guys resolve this? It's been years.
Thank you, Aaron. Mr. President, that clears the queue for general public comment. We will go ahead and close that session now.
All right, thank you. The general comment or general public comment, general public is now concluded. All right, let's go to the minutes for Friday, August 27th, 2021. I'll motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Second.
Thank you. I'll take Caloza and Davis as seconds. Any concerns or issues Villegas or Garcia? All right. Hearing none, the minutes from Friday, August 27th, 2021 are approved and adopted forthwith. Let's go now to item 1, folks. Item 1 is a project in CD6, task order solicitation number 3, SOMAS, pre-qualified on-call consultant, Hunga Avenue, Strathern Street, and Fair Avenue Street Improvements Project. Recommending the board, 1, authorize the city engineer to issue the task to SOMAS from the pre-qualified on-call civil engineering services consultants list to provide pre-design and design services for the Tahunga Avenue, Strathern Street, and Fair Avenue Street Improvements Project as stated in TOS number 3 with a budget authority of $721,500 including contingency. I see Mr. Saldin, are you here on this item?
Yes, I am. Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
So, good morning to all of you commissioners. This is John Saldin, Senior Civil Engineer with the Bureau of Engineering, and I will brief you on this item to authorize issuing a consultant task order for design services, as Commission President indicated, for the Tahunga Avenue, Strathern Street, and Fair Avenue Street and Sidewalk Improvements Project. The project provides street improvements associated with the Proposition O Clean Water Program. We are requesting authority to issue the task order 3 to SOMAS from the pre-qualified on-call civil engineering services consultant list to provide design support services for this project with a budget authority of $721,000. The project is located in Sun Valley. It will be completed in close coordination with the proposed Los Angeles County Rory Shaw Wetlands Park project. The street project will improve and upgrade the streets surrounding the Rory Shaw Wetlands Park to current standards to improve traffic flow, safety, and pedestrian mobility surrounding the park project. And just for a very quick background, the Rory Shaw Wetlands Park project is being developed by the county. The county received partial funding from Proposition O for stormwater quality improvements, consisting of $17.8 million. The county has begun construction of the park project in phases and has currently completed demolition and site preparation of the site. The remaining phases consist of grading the site, which is scheduled to begin in 2023, followed by constructing the above-ground park improvements, which are scheduled to begin in 2026 and to be completed in 2028. Per discussions between the county and the city of Los Angeles, the city agreed to improve the streets surrounding the Wetlands Park. $1.2 million of partial funding for the street improvements was approved by City Council, Fund 59V, Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation Program Special Fund. The partial funding is sufficient to complete this design work, but additional funding will be needed to complete the construction of the street improvements. This TOS provides for pre-design and design services to modernize and beautify the street corridor surrounding the Rory Shaw Park project. The project will widen Tahunga Avenue, Strathern Street, and Fair Avenue, and will include the construction and installation of new pavement, sidewalks, curb and gutter, traffic control devices, street trees, and pedestrian curb ramps. Finally, in December of 2019, task order solicitation number 3 was issued to all 26 consultants on the pre-qualified on-call civil engineering services consultant list. In February of 2020, proposals were received from 4 of the firms, including SOMAS. The Bureau of Engineering reviewed and evaluated the 4 proposals and determined that SOMAS was best suited to provide engineering services for the project. And the task is subject to the Business Inclusion Program outreach requirements, and SOMAS has pledged participation levels as indicated in the board report. So that concludes my briefing. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Mr. Saladin. Commissioner Villegas.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thanks for your report, Mr. Selden. I'm familiar with the location. We've been scouting areas just to do tree planting. And I know that area, since it doesn't have any sidewalks, and it's, I think it's city-owned, on the city-owned property side. Just a hypothetical question here. In the event we do some tree planting in that area on our city public right-of-way,
Yes.
as a curb and gutter are being constructed, would those trees be salvageable? I've been working with Amy from your staff.
Oh, really? Amy Lamb?
Actually, no, with sanitation. Right.
Okay.
Excuse me, I misspoke.
Sorry, another Amy. That's fine. No problem. Okay, so we would definitely want to coordinate any street planting with Bureau of Sanitation, or anybody who's doing any tree planting. We definitely want to, because we are planning to improve just one half of these streets, the half that is in toward the park project. And it is planned to be widened, and therefore we definitely do not want to obviously have to take out any trees that are planted between now and then. But I will also say that the county park project is going to take a while to be completed. So it's not going to be completed until 2028, which is 7 years. So there certainly could be the benefit of planting trees now.
I was listening carefully to just the timeline that you mentioned. Okay, I don't have any further questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. President Davis.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Very happy to hear that SOMAS does have business inclusion on this project. That's good to know. You did mention in terms of the overall project that there is a need for a phase 2 to this project. Have we begun short-term planning in terms of funding for that second phase of the project as well?
We do need to do that. We really haven't made much progress on funding the construction, and that's a bit of that's definitely an issue that we have. We will need to work with City Council. This project is supported by City Council. We need to work with them to secure that funding between now and the project schedule would allow us to find that funding in the next few years. But it's a good point. That needs to be done, and it's not really gotten going yet.
Great. Okay. Thank you for the update. Appreciate it.
Thank you, President Davis. Commissioner or Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, President. Good morning, Mr. Selden, and good morning to everyone else as well. My questions were more in line with Commissioner Villegas too. When I started reading all of this, I almost had a little heart attack, just because we've been scouting a place to do tree planting, and of course we don't want to duplicate efforts, and we don't want to make sure that the efforts of BOE are also well embraced, but also the efforts that we're doing with the tree planting. So I know that Commissioner Villegas spoke a little bit about this, but my question is, we're planning to do tree planting in the next, I believe it's 3 to 4 weeks. Would your work impact that work that we're trying to do? Or I guess what I'm trying to understand is, maybe should we scout another location so that then this can happen, your street widening can happen after?
So yeah, boy, we would like to really look at that.
Okay.
We obviously we don't want a bad surprise. Which, if I would have to follow up, I think with you, Commissioner, to find out exactly which blocks and which streets is the proposed street planting. I actually wasn't aware of that.
Okay, perfect. We'll follow up with you then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other than that, no, I'm glad that we're gonna improve this part of the street and part of the city, and definitely making the Rory Shaw Wetlands Park even more beautiful. Making sure that does happen for the community. So thank you for that.
Great. Yes. Thank you.
We'll meet with you individually and your staff as well, but it was just going to be right there on the corner of Strathern and Tahunga.
Okay, yeah, would love to follow up on that.
No problem.
Council District 6 is engaged?
Yes, they are.
Fabulous. All right, Commissioner Colosso. Thank you, Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, President Good. I don't have any questions for Mr. Saldine. I think you did a great job explaining the project, and always love to see the coordination with the county on other projects that are happening next to this improvement. So nothing to add from me, but this is a big project, and it's going to be an exciting one for this district and for this area. And please do follow up with Vice President Garcia and Commissioner Villegas on coordination around the tree planting. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Will do.
Agreed. This is an exciting project. I've been up there, and it's really going to be a game changer for the community. So thank you, Mr. Saldine. Gotta keep plowing along, or I don't know, slogging towards
exactly.
Yeah. So thank you very much. I'll take a motion to approve the item.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Colosso. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Any concerns, Davis or Villegas?
No concerns for me.
All right. Hearing none, the item is adopted forthwith. Thank you very much, Mr. Saldine.
Thank you, commissioners.
Okay, folks, that brings us to item 2. Item 2 is task order solicitation number 10, CWE, pre-qualified on-call consultants list, connecting San Pedro, pedestrian improvement and multimodal access project. Recommending the board authorize the city engineer to issue the task to CWE from the pre-qualified on-call civil engineering services consultants list to provide design and engineering support services for the Connecting San Pedro Pedestrian Improvement and Multimodal Access Project as stated in TOS number 10 with a budget authority of $750,000 including contingency. And Mr. Chen is with us this morning. Good morning, sir.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, President Good, commissioners, and Bureau representatives. This is Steve Chen with the Bureau of Engineering, and the item before you is, as President Good mentioned, is to request authorization to issue a task order to CWE from the pre-qualified on-call civil engineering services list to provide design and engineering support services for the Connecting San Pedro Pedestrian Improvement and Multi-Access Project. We also know it as the San Pedro Project. The task order solicitation number 10 is with a budget authority of $750,000, which includes contingency. So this project will provide for widening of sidewalks, curb ramps, curb extensions, enhanced pedestrian crosswalks, pedestrian security lighting, and bicycle racks. And this will be primarily located along 1st Street and 7th Street between Gaffney and Harbor Boulevard in San Pedro, and also along Pacific Avenue. The purpose of this project is to better connect the residents and visitors to neighbor destinations and to also provide improved safety while getting to those locations, the public areas. The services that we've requested are to provide site investigation, survey, pre-design report, design plans, specifications, and support service during construction. And the Bureau of Engineering had issued a task order to the consultant list to all 26 firms. And 4 of the firms responded, and that included CWE, David Evans and Associates, GHD, and Summits. And the BOE street improvement staff reviewed the proposals and selected CWE as they demonstrate themselves to be the most capable and qualified firm to perform the necessary services that were requested. So we recommend the approval of the base task amount, which is $697,000, $995, and also including the contingency of $52,005, which brings the total budget authority of the TOS to $750,000. This task order is subject to the Business Inclusion Program, and the city's anticipated participation levels were 18% MBE, 4% WBE, 25% SBE, 8% EBE, and 3% DVBE. And for this task, the consultant has exceeded all the APLs with pledging MBE of 29.04%, WBE level of 4.03%, SBE of 33.07%, and EBE participation of 11.01%, and DVBE of 3%. This project is funded by the LA County Metro Measure M grant, and this grant will be 100% reimbursable from the Measure M grant. So, summarize my report. If you have questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Chen. Yeah, let's open up for conversation. Vice President Garcia, you want to kick us off?
Thank you, President Good. I don't have any questions for Mr. Chen. I was briefed on this item, but thank you for your report, and I look forward to moving forward with this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. President Pro Tem Davis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Chen, I wanted to ask about some financial issues on the project. It is, you said $750,000 for this one? Yeah. Is it federally funded? It comes through MTA. Is it federal dollars involved?
No, it's actually their local, it's a grant, but it's a local grant. So it's local.
Oh, it's a local.
Yeah, that's why we're using the Business Inclusion Program.
And what's our anticipated time of the project? When do we anticipate it?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that, didn't I? Yeah, so we are looking to
is my sound broken?
Yeah, no, I got it. Sorry, I was.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
I didn't know if it was my computer or not.
No, it's just me. Sorry. No, yeah. We plan to go to once we issue, assuming the board approves the task, we'll start design, which will take approximately about a year, and then we expect to have construction completed by July 2024, and that's the rough time frame. And yeah, so that's the time frame for the project.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Sorry, I was having a hard time with my mute button. Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you so much. I'm good on this item. I don't have any questions. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Commissioner Coloso.
Thank you, President Good. I don't have any questions on this item. Mr. Chen and his team briefed me on this, but I did want to take a moment of privilege here and embarrass Mr. Chen a little bit. For those who may not know, I will just declare publicly and embarrass you, Mr. Chen, is that today is your last presentation in front of the Board of Public Works, since you will be retiring from city service, and I'm so sad because I really enjoyed working with you throughout the past 2 years. You've been such an incredible partner, technician, engineer, and I know that your team really values you. We at the board really value you, and I'm lost for words because we're going to miss you here. But I know that your family and friends will be so excited for you in the next chapter of your life. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for your service, and we will miss you, but you're always more than welcome to come back to us at any point and change your mind. I'm sure we would love that. But thank you again for everything you have done, including for getting this project started. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Cloza. I really appreciate all your support through these years, and the entire board. You've been very supportive and helpful in moving all these projects through. I know we've had a lot of items go to the board, and it's always been pleasure working for this board. It's I really feel that we have you have our backs, and that we try to work together as a team, as a big city family. So I do appreciate that, and a very satisfying career, and I couldn't have been happier with just the people that I've been working with all these years. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Steve. Though I want to revisit something that Commissioner Closa said, which is, how do we talk you out of this clearly misguided decision with so much great work to do from such a great leader on this. I would just echo the gratitude for your service. You were always exceedingly responsive. You are always thorough in your work. You're always very transparent. When you don't have an answer, you say, "Let me get back to you." And when you do, you do. And you've done some really complex projects. So the city is better for your service, Steve. And I'm sure you'll have a little more time for Dodger and Laker games. And I hope you really enjoy your retirement. So congratulations, okay?
Thank you so much, President. I appreciate it. Thank you for all your leadership and support as well. It's been great working with all of you.
Thank you.
All right, let's make this easy for him. Do I have a motion, Commissioner Closa, to approve the item?
Yeah. So moved.
All right.
Second.
Dr. Davis, any concerns, Villegas or Garcia? All right, hearing none. Your final item, Mr. Chen, is approved and adopted forthwith. Thank you, sir. Congratulations. Good luck, and enjoy your days of wine and roses.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay. Bye.
Congratulations.
Okay, that now brings us to, and I see Ms. Hoppenstand has joined us. Mr. Jordan has to leave a little early, so it's good to see you, Adina. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Hey, Ted. All right, that brings us to item 4 in light of our continuance of 3. Item 4 is specification submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids. This is a project in CD15, Terminal Island Reclamation Plant Final Tanks Skimmer System Upgrade, CIP, 5255. Sorry about that. Work order SZT 11385. Estimated cost of this project is $10,582,500, and the date of receipt of bids will be October 27th, 2021. Do I have a motion to authorize the advertisement for bids on this project?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
All right, I'll take, thank you, Commissioner Villegas, for the motion. Thank you for your second, President Pro Tem Davis. Any concerns, Garcia or Colosa? All right, hearing none. The authorization for bids is adopted and approved forthwith. Thank y'all. All right, there's sixes continued. Let's go, let's have our report on major upcoming street improvement projects. Item number 5. Who's with us today from Streets LA?
I believe it's Mr. Becerra. Let me have him turn on his video cam.
He's on.
There he is.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Becerra. How are you, sir?
Good. How is the whole commission doing? President good, and all the great commissioners. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good. Very good. Good to see you.
Likewise. So again, good morning, President Good, commissioners, your representatives, city attorney, and executive officer, Dr. Campos. My name is Antonio Becerra Jr., superintendent with the Street Renewal Division of Streets LA. The information being provided is to keep the public informed of the upcoming resurfacing projects and to minimize the impact on the community as well as delays. For additional information or concerns, you can contact our coordinating section for the Street Renewal Division at 213-847-3200. The following major street projects are scheduled in the Metro and Valley resurfacing regions during the week of September 19, 2021 through September 25th, 2021. Saturday, September 18th, 2021, and Sunday, September 19th, 2021, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., we will cold mill Adams Boulevard between La Brea and Fairfax Avenue in CD10, West Adams Neighborhood Council. Funding is Pavement Preservation Program, or PPP. There are no major street projects scheduled in the Valley Resurfacing region. Additionally, we will provide an update on our 21-22 Pavement Preservation Program. During the week of September 19, 2021 through September 25, 2021, the Metro and Valley Resurfacing regions will complete 20 projects for a total of 12.07 lane miles. The press releases were distributed and notifications have been issued. Streets LA has coordinated with the council office to assist with the outreach to stakeholders and have coordinated with the Los Angeles Department of Transportation for traffic control assistance. This information is also available on the Streets LA website, streetsla.lacity.org, located at the Resurfacing Open Projects icon. This concludes my report for today.
Thank you, Mr. Becerra. Any questions, colleagues? All right. I know that that area of Adams needs it. That's great. Good stuff. All right. So hearing no questions, thank you very much, Mr. Becerra. You have a great weekend. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, brother. Okay. Bye. All right, folks. That brings us now to, we've continued to item 6, and we will now move to item 7. Item 7 was continued from the original board meeting on Friday, September 3rd, 2021. This is a report on community level contracting from all the bureaus, reference number BPW-2021-0325. I think everyone is abundantly aware this is really groundbreaking work on the part of President Pro Tem Davis and Commissioner Colosa, and in partnership with very enthusiastic partners from our bureaus who are all here today. So I'm looking forward to this report, and I believe Mr. Monte is kicking it off. Good morning, Ian.
Good morning, President Good, commissioners. How are all of you?
Ian's all clean shaven for the CLC report.
Yeah, I had to cut all that off.
You lost that COVID beard, didn't you?
Lost the COVID beard. You have me on recording, so there's no way I could be in public with that. So I had to cut all righty. So I'm just going to represent the board of, not the board, excuse me, the Bureau of Contract Administration. So give me 1 second. All right. So again, greetings, commissioners, board representatives. My name is Ian Monte, representing the Bureau of Contract Administration, Office of Contract Compliance, and I am representing BCA as it relates to our community level contracting oral presentation for this particular quarterly report. So just want to give a very slight background for anyone that may be listening that is not aware of what community level contracting is. So community level contracting, otherwise known as CLC, is the practice of unbundling large contracts into workable packages to provide small businesses with opportunities to serve the city as prime contractors. In the Bureau of Contract Administration, we have continued to lead with the Board of Public Works in this initiative and help the other bureaus to identify and execute CLC contracts. So gonna go back in time just a touch. Per the Board of Public Works motion that was adopted on Wednesday, May 19, 2021, BCA was instructed to provide guidance to assist the Public Works bureaus in creating implementation strategies, plans, and evaluation methodologies for community level contracting. And as such, this is our mission as the CLC initiative continues to evolve and expand, and that's obviously going to include these quarterly reports as we continue to do them in the future. So looking forward into the future, BCA definitely looks forward to continuing working with the other 4 bureaus with their existing and potential CLC opportunities, and also continuing work with the Chief Procurement Officer and their team to help them work to include community level contracting efforts into the overall strategy of the technologies that are being developed to help manage city procurement activities. BCA at this time does not have any contract or CLC contract opportunities, but we are very excited for a time in which BCA can directly award a CLC contract while we still work and help the other bureaus shepherd their respective opportunities. That concludes my report, and I am available for any questions unless we want to hold those until everyone else speaks.
Thank you, Mr. Monte. I'm inclined to have everyone go through and give their reports and then ask questions then, unless anybody objects.
That's great.
All right. Why don't we go next with Ms. Chow? Good morning, Ms. Chow.
Good morning, commissioners. The Bureau of Street Services has submitted a report, and we do have identified some existing community level contracting opportunities in our report. We do have 4 contracts that are awarded for maintenance of the landscape median islands. There are basically 4 contracts, 1 for each region, namely the Bay Harbor, North Central, West Valley, and East Valley. All of those contracts are currently in their first year, and they expire in October. They are planned for renewal for year 2 once it expires, and all of those 4 contracts, we're proud to say that they are various small, either small local business, veterans, very small business entity, EBE, as well as a small business entity, a local business entity, disabled, as well as minorities certified. So we're very happy to report on that, and we look forward to them providing year 2 services. We also have another contractor for freeway off-ramp closure services. This contract actually went out to bid by RFP, and we recently just awarded that contract, and it was approved by board to Sterndal Enterprises, and that contractor is also a small business enterprise as well as a local business enterprise. Although it's just one vendor, they are representing the smaller business community in Los Angeles. So that contract was approved by board in August and is currently pending execution as well as Executive Directive 3 approval. In addition to that, we have our ongoing As Needed Haul Truck program, which basically hauls mainly asphalt as well as debris to support our pavement program. And that is comprised of 78 independent truck owners. We have a budget of about $11.8 million that is shared among all these contract truckers, and the work is distributed based on the city's needs as well as the truckers' availability. But it comprises of about 78 truckers for this fiscal year. And in terms of how we are going to implement CLC this year, in addition to the contracts that I've already mentioned above, we also have what we call our sidewalk vending program, outreach and education. The Bureau is funded for $350,000 for this service, which is basically to provide more information in terms of the permitting process for sidewalk vending and really outreach to the various stakeholders to, provide more information as to how they can get on the permitting process. So for this fiscal year, this has been kind of an ongoing program, and where we have we went for a request for qualifications process about a year or 2 years ago that was initiated by the the CLA's office, and it was transferred over to our bureau about a year ago. So unfortunately, as part of the RFQ process, we have yet to create the actual contracts for these for the proposers that actually responded. So we are in the process of planning to execute contracts with these proposers. But in the meantime, we do have a plan to kickstart the program by executing a $60,000 authority for expenditure just to kind of kickstart the program. And part of that plan is really to bring in a vendor that will actually kind of go out with our investigators and really shadow them as to what the work actually entails. So we're planning to present that authority for expenditure to board shortly. And also, we do have another potential CLC opportunity where our bureau is budgeted a little over $2 million for tree planting this fiscal year. And it can, in theory, be contracted out to community-based level organizations. However, the plan has not been fleshed out yet, and so our initial plan is to spend that money, at least $500,000 of that money, using city forces to plant trees on a weekend overtime basis. But our plan is potentially that the rest of the money can be spent on CLC opportunities. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Chow. Really appreciate that. And I see Ms. Clemens is with us as well. Hi. Good morning. Thank you all so much. All right, I think next up is Ms. Pena from the Bureau of Street Lighting. Good morning, Ms. Pena.
Good morning, President Good, Commissioners, and all Bureau representatives. I'm Evelina Pena with the Bureau of Street Lighting to discuss our and give a brief of the first Board of Public Works quarterly community level contracts. The current one that we have present with our Bureau is our opportunity, the pre-qualified on-call bus stop lighting contractors list, various public works project. There was an approved on-call list that was approved, and there was an order in place May 12, 2021. And we did put the contract documents together so that we can initiate the whole process of review and signature before we get board approval and all the required signatures for these contracts. And the documents were emailed to the 11 contractors on the approved list, and that was emailed out on September 7th. And we requested for these companies to return the signed documents by the 21st of this month. The certification required for these contracts is all contractors must hold at a minimum for a year a Class A or C10 license. Also, the funding for these packages that the Bureau will be putting together will be funded through Prop A funds. And all packages will vary in size. However, they will not exceed a maximum of $100,000. And this is the only opportunity that we have in relation to the community level contracts. And in the divisions that will be preparing the work packages are actually putting their documents together so that when these contracts are fully attested by the city, we can move forward with the whole process of assigning these packages and get bus stop lighting projects in the works and constructed within the city of Los Angeles. And that's all I have to report. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Pena. Not sure yet. Stick around. I'm sure there will be some questions and comments for the group afterward. But thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next up is Mr. Vandergriff. Hello, Greg, from Bureau of Engineering. One second. One second. Wait. Mr. Van, is that
That's coming from Mr. Vandergriff's computer.
I'm so glad to know it's not my computer.
My daughter would love this, by the way.
Sound like the chipmunks. I think
I know, right.
audio.
I'm like, President Good would not believe that this is going on.
Say what, let's do.
Greg, if you can hear me, this is Fernando Campos. If you can log off and maybe log back in, that would be helpful.
And what I'll do, in the interim, Greg, I'll ask Mr. Pattison to give us the answer for it. We'll kick it back over to you. Thanks. All right. That was a little nice chipmunk's levity for the morning. My daughter would have eaten that up if it like that. All right. Mr. Pattison from LA Sanitation. How are you, sir?
Good morning, President Good. I'm fine, thank you, sir. Good morning, commissioners and guests. John Pattison, Senior Management Analyst with our Centralized Contracting Unit with LA Sanitation. At this time, LA Sanitation has one existing community level contracting opportunity. It's our RFQ for landscaping and site services for the various LA San facilities. The proposals for that were submitted in August, start of August 4th of this year. They are currently being evaluated. LA Sanitation separated that RFQ into small work packages and large work packages. So we have had multiple proposers submit to be on either of the two lists. It was an either or, they could not submit for both. So they had to choose whether or not they were going to be on the small work package or the large work package. The small work package, we received a BIP waiver for that because they are much smaller packages. The proposers submitting on the large work package still had to do a BIP evaluation. So we will still have some level of community level contracting on that. We're still encouraging the use of minority and women-owned businesses, small businesses, emerging businesses on the large work package, but as subcontractors, of course. We will continue to implement CLC by evaluating currently pending RFPs, RFQs, to determine if those projects can also be unbundled, potentially separated into smaller work packages as well, as we've done with the landscaping and site services. Our project managers are completing the CLC checklist to determine potential opportunities, and staff will continue to review future RFPs and RFQs that will be developed over the next few years to determine potential CLC opportunities as well. At this time, we have identified 3 additional potential opportunities. We have an upcoming RFP for our lakes and wetland maintenance. Scope of work on that is lake upkeep and maintenance, such as care, replanting, and protection of the wetland plants in our lakes, periodic lake assessments. We believe that we may be able to implement CLC opportunities on that. We have identified our RFQ for on-call consultant services. Proposers will be providing expert consulting and implementation services on as-needed on-call basis for our clean water, environmental quality, solid resources, and watershed protection programs. So we believe we may be able to implement CLC opportunities on that also. And lastly, our third possible opportunity is the RFQ for non-profit organizations, or NPOs. The NPOs will be providing LA SAM with services including education, public outreach, including translation services, gardening and tree planting activities, transportation services, community gardening, compost services and compost certification, as well as loose litter pickup and expert advisory services. We believe that all 3 of those opportunities, we may be able to split them up, break them up into small work packages and implement CLC on that as well. And that concludes LA Sanitation's report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. I'm going to go on a limb and guess that you have some history with Australia.
Just a little bit, sir, yes.
Just a little bit. I bet you're pretty pleased with this week, aren't you? Yes. All right. Thank you very much. Hang tight. Mr. Vandegrift, let's hear that voice.
Let's see if this works. Is this better?
I'm almost sad. I was almost thinking, well, we're going to have to go through your report with the chipmunk voice and make do. Good to see you, Mr. Vandegrift. Good morning.
Good morning. Again, good morning, President Good and Commissioners. To be honest with you, I'd almost feel cheated if I wasn't the last speaker. So, thank you. I also want to take the moment to say thank you to the Bureau of Contract Administration in their assistance and guidance with the community level contract. They've been an integral part of this for the Bureau of Engineering as we've dealt with the two programs that we've identified in particular for community level contracting. The first of those is our small sidewalk repair services program. We are currently in the process of extending our contracts for that. For this last quarter, between July 1st and September 30th of 2021, we have issued only one work package. That was for $61,622.43 to Max Out Incorporated. They are also a certified MBE SBE firm. The rest of our contractors, we have not had any contracts with them for this quarter. Another upcoming opportunity is our solar photovoltaic and energy storage system projects. We're in the process of establishing a list of contractors that also includes community level contractors in that list. And we'll be bringing that list to the board in the near future. So with that, we have our contract amendment number 2 for the 22 pre-qualified on-call small sidewalk repair services contractors for the sidewalk repair program as one of our ongoing and future projects. The other one is to request authority to establish a pre-qualified list of design build contractors for the solar photovoltaic and energy storage system projects for city facilities. Many of those several of those facilities will be small contracts that we enter into with contractors on this list. And we're doing that in conjunction with the Bureau of Contract Administration. We have identified 4 future contract packages that will be going out in the next quarter with our small sidewalk repair. This will be small sidewalk repair access request acceleration package number 21, which should be advertised on or around October 1st. The second one will be the sidewalk repair program small sidewalk repair access request acceleration package number 22, also going out on or around October 1st. Then there's the SRP Small Sidewalk Repair Access Request Acceleration Package number 23, also October 1st. And then finally, our SRP Small Sidewalk Repair Access Request Acceleration Package number 24, on or about October 1st. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Vandegrift. Really appreciate that. And thank you, everyone here. And thank you again to the Bureau of Contract Administration for the leadership on this, and certainly Commissioner Close and President Pro Tem Davis for their leadership on this. With that, why don't we open it up and for any questions and or conversation. President Pro Tem Davis, why don't you kick us off?
Okay, I don't know where to start. So many great reports here today. I guess I'll start with you, Mr. Vandegrift, and namely because I think engineering really gave us a pilot project early on with the sidewalk repair program that we did, I guess, as a result of the Willits case, and you were able to break those contracts down and have more inclusion there. And I know that in that program, it's going to sustain itself. Because my understanding is that we're going to do somewhere around $30 million on an annual basis on that sidewalk program. Is that in the ballpark of what we have a projection of trying to do?
That's what we're trying to do, Commissioner.
Yeah, that's wonderful and that's excellent. You also mentioned the solar panel program. What is the sustainability of that in terms of work that we might be able to let out over time? You know, for example, next year. Are we training individuals to provide the skill to execute that, and where do we get our people from as it relates to small businesses for that?
So the companies that we've established or that we've reviewed for that list are established companies. Some of them, of course, are very large companies because they'll be dealing with some of our larger projects. But we also have a number of local businesses that will be participating in this effort. And with that, they'll be able to participate on some of our smaller programs that will come forward. I don't have a projection yet as to the value of work that we have forthcoming. And that's something that's subject to change on any given year.
I know some time ago, we had begun to successfully implement solar paneling on commercial buildings, and yet we were behind in the residential market. So I don't know if that's still the case. If so, there certainly would be some work there, but my concern would be in terms of the knowledge and skill. In terms of small businesses, are they getting trained to do this work, and by whom? Are there nonprofits that are training individuals to do this kind of panel laying work, or do we have any knowledge of that?
Commissioner, I don't have any knowledge of that at this time. I would have to do some research into it.
Well, I will say this and I'll move forward, but I think that this is an opportunity to have a conversation with the big guys, if you will, in terms of apprenticeship programs, in terms of training some small businesses to be able to do this work. Because in the market, I understand that there is quite a bit of opportunity in which to increase solar paneling on residential, which we do want to have if we are to realize the benefit of solar panel. So having said that, it would be great for administrators in engineering to have conversation with the big boys with whom you deal, who are doing a lion's share of work, but it's enough work for everyone, from what I understand. So I'd love to see that kind of conversation take place, and some of them begin to develop programs to train some small business potential vendors for us. Thank you for that. The other one I wanted to talk to is street services. Street services had mentioned the median programs, I think. And I wanted to ask you about the median program. How are we breaking down median opportunities in that program? Is it from our existing contracts? I know we have some of the bigger corporate median folk, I guess. I don't know if you're able to describe to me.
Well, the median island contracts are really, we added that as a potential opportunity because when we went out to bid, we broke it up in the sense that it's by region. So instead of just selecting one vendor to service the entire city of LA, we basically broke it up into 4 regions. And the way that based on the responses that we received, these companies are all certified in a sense, all in a way, pretty much all small local businesses. Some of them have been long-term players like Mariposa, but like Green Garden, it's a first-time city contractor, and been a process working to help them. We've been patiently working with them to help them get used to meeting the city standards. So this is kind of like an example of really helping a small business become more involved in city contracts. But these four opportunities were not necessarily catering to the CLC opportunity per se, but the fact that we are separating the contracts into different regions is inviting more companies to have these contracting opportunities as primes.
Now, we did break those contracts down in terms of the monies and dollars allotted as well, right? So
yes.
Are these 100,000, 150,000 kind of contracts?
So
or somewhere therein?
They're actually much greater than that. They're roughly about a little over 500,000.
Oh,
each.
wow.
Yes. We get about $3 million annually or so. It varies from year to year, but these contracts, for the most part, between the four contracts totaled about $2.5 million for the first year.
So what opportunity do we have in the future to create opportunities for others to get involved in competing? Certainly we have some of those who really are part of the industry. But is there any opportunity that some potential other newer emerging businesses might be able to get into the median business in the future through these contracts?
I mean, I guess one of the other things is to even break it down into even smaller regions. But the difficulty in that is that the city services such a huge footprint that having to deal with 10 contractors versus 4 is going to be tough because especially even with Green Garden, they're, like I said, they are a first-time contractor with the city. It takes a lot of effort to try and really work with them to deliver at the capacity or the level of performance that they're expected. And really, the type of work that is done is they're doing trimming and cleaning up of trash, as well as when I say trimming, it's really just the small little bushes, and I don't mean big trees.
Sure.
They're really for the small maintenance plants and bushes, but and as well as the taking care of the small irrigation problems, such as like broken sprinklers and whatnot. So the type of work that they do, potentially the different types of it can be subcontracted out, but because they service such a big region, it's very hard for the smaller companies to really be able to service an area that's that big, because
Well, if that's the case, then why won't we look in the future at ways in which we can create that opportunity? What I would be concerned with, and my second question about medians is, would we ever be able to grow to the area where we would be able to get some contracts over in East LA and in South Los Angeles? Because I notice of the 4 areas, obviously we have 15 council districts, and I know that you probably are doing it in phases, but I just wonder, would we ever maybe make it over to South Los Angeles and East LA?
We can get back to you on that. We distinguish between landscaped median islands versus just, what we call unimproved medians. And so we only get specific amount of funding that will only be sufficient to service the landscaped medians. And so at this time, we do not have funding for unimproved medians. And when it comes to the area that you're talking about, I'm not sure what is the quantity of landscaped median islands in that area. But we will definitely talk to our urban forestry division to see if that is a potential. And it may, and I'm not necessarily clear as to whether or not that may be even covered under the existing contracts at this time.
Yeah, in the future, if we could aim for that, it would be ideal, given the high unemployment rate in those areas of the city in the future. But I know that we're just starting out. I just want to make sure that as we begin to implement a structure for community level contracting, that we are having some short-term plans about growing to areas where we can have the biggest impact in addition to what we're doing now on the initial. So I do appreciate the initial effort, and I think that our short-term plan should be heading in that direction where this work continue to make a real big hit for some of our young people who are unemployed in those areas. The other thing is I'm very glad to see you added the trucking program on, something that we have been doing, and I know it's not easy, but I'm glad that we were able to add those to our numbers as well. Let's see, we had engineering, we had street lighting. Street lighting, is street lighting there?
Yes, Commissioner Davis, I'm here.
Okay, the program that we have that we're doing is what specific tasks are being performed for street lighting?
The RFQ, what they will be doing is implementing security bus stop lighting. So these are usually 3 posts oriented towards the property line and where there's an existing bus stop. And we figured that it would be best to introduce this design works for the CLC program because it introduced the contractor how to install a street lighting system that's not so large, like for example, a street corridor or a major engineering project.
Sure.
It's kind of like a little step in, and it gives them an awareness of what it takes to install one of our systems where they are only involved with a maximum of 3 posts.
Are these individuals called electricians who would do this work, or what
The
profession?
code, excuse me, I'm sorry. The code that we put in the RFQ when we sent it out for on LA Bavin did call out for a C10 or Class A license. So that normally is for electrical-based type work, and we did request for them to have the license for a minimum of a year. So that kind of tells us that they have experience dealing with electrical works.
And so, is there room for emerging vendors in this area of electrical work? We do have a lot of emerging electrical small businesses in the city, to your knowledge.
I think this is a great opportunity for companies that are involved with electrical work. This opportunity, of course, is already, I don't know how to say it appropriately, but the opportunity to reach out to this opportunity has been closed because now we're in the contracting phase. But and this contract is for 3 years. So after that ends and we reach out to open up the doors, of course, sure, that opportunity will be there for them to reach out to us. Many companies in the beginning of the phase, they were kind of hesitant because perhaps they were subcontractors and were maybe a little hesitant to reach out to us and, be the prime. But I think this is a golden opportunity for them to, have this experience, and I think this is wonderful. And one of the exhibits that we included in our RFQ package and the contract is an actual sample plan that we actually work on so that it gives them a visual of what they are going to be exposed to and how the packages that they will be receiving, what the nodes, the electrical component and the material that's involved to be able to actually build. So there is that awareness. And so as far as in the sense of training, we gave them that information from the beginning so that they can ask any questions that they had during the time when we did our pre-qualification meeting in the beginning of the whole process.
Great. Thank you so much for that. And I hope that we're able to invest in a relationship. I don't know if unions, IBW or any other appropriate union would be involved as well in terms of apprenticeships and training so that this program can touch our various communities that really are hungry for knowledge and skill in these subspecialty areas. And if we could have a relationship with the unions and apprenticeships that could feed into this contract level opportunity that you're doing, that would be just ideal and really a national model for other cities and what they can do. Thank you so much for that update. And then my final question, I guess, would be with sanitation. And what is it specifically that we're doing in sanitation in breaking down community level opportunities for small businesses?
For example, sir, thank you, good question. With the landscaping and site services, we essentially created, well, I guess we could call it 2 separate RFQs. It's been posted as one RFQ, but the respondents were given the option of identifying whether or not they wanted to be selected to the small work package or the large work package. So we had our project managers review the scopes of work and determine whether or not we would be able to even actually implement CLC opportunity in that. And when they did, it was determined, okay, we have the opportunity for small packages. We have much larger multi-billion-dollar packages that would not be eligible for CLC, but still under the BIP, of course. And so then when we drafted the RFQ document for that, we specifically broke it out and gave the proposers the opportunity to submit a response to either participate in the CLC opportunity for the smaller work packages, which we believe the larger contractors are just not going to attempt to even get in on that just because it's not worth their time.
Sure.
And we're looking at that, we're using that as our template for what we can do on future opportunities.
Sure.
So there is a CLC checklist that went out. We've got that to our project managers. They're using that when they evaluate their upcoming opportunities. We're encouraging them where at all possible to break out opportunities rather than just lump everything in and give everything to one contractor and have like a $10 million contract. Is it a possibility that we can break these out into smaller opportunities where we can get our smaller contractors on board, where we can say, okay, we've got the opportunity for much smaller work packages. Does that exist on this opportunity? And try to encourage the PMs where possible to break those out so we can implement CLC and in future opportunities as well.
Great. I wish we could also do some basic kind of things like in these areas where, particularly during this time of COVID-19, we've had a plethora of areas that needed to be cleaned up. And of course, our staff is limited. It can only clean up so often. I wish it were possible we could empower some of these nonprofits and give them assignments to clean up certain areas for us. And the level of skill there for maintenance is not that necessarily difficult to achieve. That we could grant some of these nonprofit in our communities in the inner city and give them a service area to keep clean for us and make those small level contracting in the way we do sidewalk repair. So I wish sanitation would consider that. You know, we've got these various nonprofits in the 9th district. I think some that are used in the 8th district, but I think we could look at considering empowering these nonprofits to let them cover a service area for us. It would augment the overworked salaried staff that we have. So I want to thank you all for sharing with us what you're doing, and I think our potential to reach not only just the small business community, but to reach the underemployed, if you will, in terms of contracting is a real great opportunity we have to achieve. And I think as we get deeper into it, that we could be a model for the country in terms of empowering the small business and emerging business community, particularly if we are as courageous and bold as to step into the areas where they need us most and use those as examples of empowering not only people based upon the service we're providing, but empowering them in terms of increasing their own personal knowledge and skills so that they then become an employable person that can go on even after this program ends. So thank you so much, and thank you, Mr. President, for allowing me to ask some questions.
Of course, President Pro Tem Davison, thank you, and thank you, everybody. Let's move to Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And I appreciate all the questions from my colleague, Commissioner Davis. That was was really good background. I don't have specific questions. I think that the reports that you all provided us were really helpful as well, and just in terms of listening to your presentations. That was really helpful. I just wanted, I see some of you used the program mainly on the OBE side for existing, work. But just going forward, I'm curious to know for you all, is this, do you find it easy or a little challenging to implement? Anybody can take that, or if you all want to answer.
And if I can just chime in here too, we're just implementing this, right? So this is the very first quarterly report, Commissioner Villegas. So we're still in the weeds with each bureau providing technical assistance. So I think the answer to your question, and anyone can feel free to chime in, is that we're still, we will find out, but it's really a shift in how we think about contracting and a shift in the culture and the framework, right? Because I think the natural inclination is to streamline and create bigger packages to make it easier. And this is the opposite of that, right? It's really being intentional about knowing that a smaller contract can really transform, these smaller businesses because they get to be the prime in most cases where they would just be the subcontractor. So I think that we're working through it. Again, this is the very first quarterly report. I'm hesitant to put everybody on the spot here, although they're more than welcome to answer because we're literally working through the implementation right now.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I saw that. And I was just asking because I know that some of our bureaus were using some of the existing projects that we currently have, but they fit into the CLC program. Yeah, I don't mean to put anybody on the spot. I realize that this is just launched this May, but I appreciate everybody's feedback and just your experience in doing this work. So thank you.
Yeah, John Patterson with LA Sanitation. Commissioner Colosa pretty much stole my answer. It's a matter of training our PMs and getting them to change the way they think about their upcoming opportunities. Literally, as you said, instead of bundling everything into one and saying we can just put it out as one RFP, RFQ and get one contractor that can do everything, there is additional work in breaking everything out. So it is a matter of encouraging our PMs to do that, to look at their opportunities and say, yeah, we can break this out. We can break it up into a small work package, and we can give this to our smaller contractors, and we can make the opportunity available to the larger contractors as we're currently doing. But yeah, it's just a matter of retraining and having our PMs think a paradigm shift, if you will, into how we do contracting in the future.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I don't have any questions, President Good.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, President Good. And thank you to my colleagues, Commissioner Davis and Commissioner Colosa, for heading our department in this direction. Obviously, this is something that it's new to our bureaus, but I also want to say thank you to our bureaus and our executive management on each of the bureaus for embracing the community level contracting. Community level contracting gives an opportunity to folks that will not have an opportunity or would not be ready to be within the city system. And as you all know, for small businesses that can get a contract with the city, it means a lot. It means a lot to them. Not only does it move them from their income bracket or their revenue bracket, as you may say that, but it also gives them a better status in their business. So I appreciate that that we can do that to local businesses and that we can do to smaller businesses. So thank you for that. I want to highlight a couple of things that I heard. Thank you, Bureau of Street Services, for really looking at all your contracts and breaking them and looking for opportunities. I was happy, just like Commissioner Davis said, I was very happy to see that the truckers contract made it into the community level contracting. And I hope that we can continue to keep them there and that we continue to work with them and that their contracts are not in any unstable or unstable situation. I just want to make sure that they're always stable because they provide a very important service to the city. And like Keith said, he would be very sad and very with an empty hole if the truckers were not in place. So we'll make sure that Keith continue to stay happy. I also want to say thank you to Bureau of Street Lighting for looking at their projects and breaking down projects as you could. As you all know, BSL is very particular, and there's not, in comparison to sanitation or BOE, there's not that many projects coming along. But I'm happy to see that BSL took their time to look at their entire project and see where they can fit in the project community level contracting. So thank you, Evie, and to the team, Miguel, Megan, and everybody else there that made this happen. And lastly, sanitation. Also, thank you so much for making sure that the landscaping contracts are part of the community level contracting. I believe we just approved one on Wednesday, right? I think I remember that, and so I didn't remember reading community level contracting on the report, but I know that what you just spoke about is exactly that.
It was a contract for $67,000 on Wednesday. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Those 67,000, 100,000 are very chewable amounts for small businesses. As opposed to, the 5 million, 3 million, sometimes that's just very hard to do. I also, going back to BSL, I just want to say that BSL was very creative in the way that they broke down this project. And so one of the things that BSL has done, which I think is a really good idea, is BSL will provide the equipment and the, what I would think of when running a small business, the equipment, the most expensive stuff, in other words. So the equipment, the manufacturer items, all of that, BSL will provide it. And so we're just really now contracting for somebody to do the service. And so that was a really nice way to make sure that our businesses can enter these community level contracting. And lastly, BOE, thank you so much as well for doing that. I know you said, and I missed this, Greg, you said there was a contract for $61,243. I just wasn't sure what project that was. Can you clarify for me your first project that you mentioned?
Commissioner, that was with Max Out Incorporated, but I don't have the package exactly that was for with me. I can get that information.
I do have Max Out Incorporated. I have 61,000, but I didn't hear the project or what type of project this was going to be.
Well, that was sidewalk repair.
Okay, sidewalk repair.
Yeah.
Perfect. This is something really to be proud of. So I'm happy that this board at this time was able to move this forward. And I hope as years to come, when there's a whole other board here and whole new commissioners, that this community level contract stays in place and that you all continue to bring it up front just to make sure that our small businesses within the Los Angeles area continue to thrive. So thank you everybody for your time and for making sure that this program is a success. And Commissioner Davis and Commissioner Colosa, thank you for all your work as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia and Commissioner Closa.
Thank you, President Good. First, thank you, of course, to President Pro Tem Mike Davis and being a key partner in implementing all the pieces. Passing the motion was the easy part. We are now in the hard part of implementation. And that's what Commissioner Davis and I are going to do, is continue to implement this and manage this very closely, because we know that it's not just a good thing to do, but it's the right thing to do to really help our small and diverse businesses. Also want to give a huge thanks, of course, to the BCA team, Linda, John, Ian, Jessica, for all their hard work and technical assistance that they're providing to the entire department. And I know that slowly, even though this is a department-wide initiative, hopefully this will have some legs and soon enough become a city-wide initiative, because I'm sure other departments will look at us as a model. And I know some have already reached out looking at our results, right? It's really hard to compare with the results, especially when you look at the small sidewalk repair program, about how diverse all the businesses are that we end up contracting with when we break up these opportunities into small work packages. I'm going to touch on a few things. I don't have any questions for anyone because we have met about this extensively, and I think Commissioner Davis did such a great job asking you questions already. But everyone has really leaned into this to be creative. And again, it's a culture shift, so that's why this is going to be our floor, not our ceiling, for the opportunities that we identify. And one of the things I'll reiterate here that I know we've reiterated in our department-wide meetings on this is that we know that this takes more work from you all. This takes more time from the PMs. It takes more time from accounting because we're generating more invoices, right? Because we're having smaller work packages. So those are things that we are going into this opportunity eyes wide open and hopefully look to identify more resources, hopefully in this next fiscal year, to make sure that we can support you all. And so I just reaffirm that commitment here, that we know that this takes more work and we want to look to make sure that implementation is successful and that we're squarely aware of all those things to get you all that help. The other things that I heard that were touched on was from Commissioner Villegas about the great point of like, oh, you see some existing opportunities that were now being counted in here. And we think that's a great thing, because this is work that the bureaus were already doing, like with Streets LA, long before this existed, right? So I think that was great for us to acknowledge that work that they were doing. So that was definitely one of them. But then the new opportunities, I think there's tons of opportunities and new opportunities that are being identified that we're really working through. I think what would help for all of our representatives who are CLC liaisons is kind of like what you heard right now is when you have your board reports, and this is a CLC opportunity that we identified, to really take credit for that, right? To mark it, to identify that in your board report so that the board knows that what's before us is a CLC opportunity. And those are all things that, as part of our implementation, that we're going to continue to get better at doing. But just wanted to say that here, that's I think some low-hanging fruit that we heard based off of feedback from the board today. And lastly, just want to also give thanks to everyone here on the entire board for really supporting President Pro Tem Davis and I on this effort and the entire department. And I could not be remiss without giving a shout out to Hannah Choi, because this is really, we're really carrying her legacy. This is a baby that she cared about. And even though she's retired, this is still the impact of a lot of the work that she helped start with John Reamer and Gary Lee Moore. And so we're just continuing the work forward. So I want to make sure we thank her. But amazing work, everyone. We're going to continue to do the hard work of implementing, and I'm sure you will hear from myself and Commissioner Davis in no time. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Colosa. Mr. Vandergrift, did you just raise your hand?
Not intentionally, but I would offer that we very much appreciated the guidance from Commissioner Davis and Commissioner Colosa when we met together, especially in trying to identify what the board would like to see in these reports. So thank you.
Excellent. So I don't really have much to add other than also thank you. Thanks to the bureaus for coming to play, as it were, and recognizing the long game, even as we are challenged by the short game. And so very much appreciated. This is, I think everyone gets it. This counts for the city, and making sure that the way we do business is reflective of the richness that we know and live with every day. So thank you all very much. Very excited to watch the trajectory of this continue upwards. And then also, thanks to Commissioner Colosa. Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis, for your leadership on this. But for y'all and Hannah Choi, we're still in the dark on some levels. So thank y'all very, very much. And looking forward to the continued work here. We've dipped our toes in the water. Now let's go swimming. With that, thank you all. Any final questions or comments, colleagues?
Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you all for the presentations. And Dr. Campos, have we cleared? Oh, and thank you, BCA. Thank you, Ian, very much. Really appreciate it. And Dr. Campos, have we cleared the decks?
Yes, you have.
All right. With that, 8 minutes before the noon hour, all of you folks go have lunch. Colleagues, I will see y'all in that. All right. This meeting is officially adjourned, everybody. Thank y'all.